Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There podcast. We are doing my birthday bonus tonight. I'm super excited for it. It's just a little fun episode, kind of shake things up a little bit, get the juices flowing. We just had the Grammys recently, the Golden Globes. We're going to do our own award show this tonight. We're going to be doing the 2024 Horror Movie Award Show. We got, 12 different categories. And we're just going to give out, like Best Actor, Best Actress. We're just going to go around the horn. We can just do podcast order. Me, Brian, Mike, and Dustin. Y'all want to go like in podcast order of doing the questions as well? 1, 2, 3, 4. We can do that if you want to, or I can just lead it all. We'll just go in order for the questions as well. Up first, movie that surprised you most. For me, I gave the award to Oddity. Like I saw the trailer. I saw some reviews. Dustin spoke highly of it. When I went and saw it in the theater, man, that movie was scary, and I didn't know much about it. I really like it, and I'm going to be picking that movie very soon for Mike's theme, which we haven't announced yet, but I'm spoiling it now. That's my pick next month. Brian, you want to go next? Movie that surprised you most?
Nice. That mofo was on my list to pick too, so I'm glad you are. A Quiet Place Day One would be 1B on this, I think, but I'm going to give this one to Strange Darling. I didn't know what to expect, had very low expectations, but it did remind me a lot of that movie Memento. I don't know if you guys have seen that. And I thought it was just really smart. It surprised me how much fun I had with it. Happy birthday, by the way, Nick.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Brother Chin. Glad we get to do this show, and I'm glad to be back on this week. Appreciate y'all's patience last week with me. I'm glad you sent in a text earlier today in our group chat that said you guys can have one more than one answer because, buddy, I do here. I have a lot of slashes in my answers. So, movie that surprised me most is actually a little bit of a three-way tie. One would be Smile 2. I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. I liked it significantly more than I liked the first movie, and I ended up liking that the second watch around. So I think that kind of shows you, my hand here. I will be picking that movie soon as well. Anyway, The Substance as well, only because you two hyped it up so much. I thought no freaking way it could live up to that hype. You call it, it's an A20 or A24 like movie, not an A24 movie, it's Neon, but it blew me away. Again, spoiler alert, you're going to see The Substance later on my list. And the other one was something that Dustin actually tipped me off to, and I finally got around to watching it on Christmas break, which was Y2K. I liked that movie significantly more than I expected to. I thought that movie is really, really fun, and you'll see it again on my list as well.
Yeah. I don't want to, actually, brother, but The Substance isn't Neon either. But anyway.
Damn it. I knew it was one. It was one of those. One of those weird. Oh, yeah. It's Mubi or Mubi?
Yeah, distributed by Mubi. Yeah. All right. Movie that surprised me the most. Good call on Oddity. I've got it in a different category on my list, so I didn't include it here. I've got to go with Alien Romulus because I never thought that I would enjoy a movie from that franchise, and it was darn good.
Nice. The Alien Romulus was a good
darn good. Darn tootin' good. All right. Best theater experience. I purposely did not see many horror movies in the theater this year. For probably the past 5 years, I've been pretty picky with what I spend my money to go see in the theaters because of them honestly being so readily and quickly available at home nowadays. I usually save the theater experience for like a big movie I want to see in the theater, but I want to say Ghostbusters Frozen Empire here. Either that or A Quiet Place Day One. But again, to be fair, I only saw those two in A Violent Nature, Romulus, Maxine, that awful Strangers movie, Blood and Honey 2, and Beetlejuice in the theaters this year. That's all I've seen. But I'm going to go with Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
As you guys know, I didn't make it to the theater a whole ton this year. I made it to the theater a whopping 3 times in the year of 2024. And one of those was a replay of Halloween 1978. That was not my favorite theater experience. I actually went one horror movie and one non-horror movie because I actually did both enjoy the theater experience for both. So I went with Kingdom of Planet of the Apes. I really liked that movie on the big screen. Was a lot of fun. As far as horror goes, I would go Trap. And you're going to see Trap on my list again later. While not a great film, I truly enjoyed that theater experience once the movie kind of broke open. So again, I don't get to the theater that much, so those two have to kind of be where I'm at, because otherwise it'd be Halloween 1978, and I've seen that movie in the theater about 4 times now. So
Yeah, for me, I went to the theater. Nico and I went quite a bit more. I had a lot more to choose from. I saw, I think, 60 or so movies last year in the theater. Um, but for the movie itself, I'll go with In a Violent Nature, because hearing everyone gasp at the gruesome gore was great. And there were people laughing, there were people mortified. So the theater experience was good. But I will say, Beetlejuice was a great period, because seeing so many people dress up was cool. Like, I saw that for weeks as I'd go to see other movies, and I loved it. So kind of a twofold answer. But in the theater for the actual movie I was watching, I'll go with In a Violent Nature.
How hard was it for you to not choose one where it was just you in the theater?
Oh man, that I thought about it, and that happened quite a bit. Like Terrifier 3, I was having such an awful time watching that too. But I was able to get up and stretch my legs during the movie. I was able to go get something from concessions and come back and just sit wherever I wanted. So that was great, but
I
different.
have a feeling we'll be seeing Terrifier 3 on your list later for just some strange reason.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
All right, I'll go real quick. Best theater experience. I got 2 answers as well. First up is Beetlejuice. I kind of talked about that in another show. It was fun. It was great. Sat right up front in Dolby Digital. The sound was incredible. So many people, like Dustin mentioned, were dressed up as Beetlejuice. Lydia had the shirts on, had the special cups. It was just an amazing experience. And my second choice is Heretic. Like, that was the most tense, and like I was the most scared I was at the theater. Like, throughout, like it was legitimately creepy. Go ahead, Mike, with number 3.
Oh, we're doing it this way. Okay. All right. So number 3 was Best Lead Actor. And I had, again, another little tie here because I didn't get to see Heretic until later. So I went with Hugh Grant in Heretic. I thought was fan-freaking-tastic. We're going to talk a lot more about that coming up. And then I went with a tie. And I know not everyone loved the movie, but I thought Josh Hartnett in Trap was fucking phenomenal. I thought he was so good at that character. Even the over-the-top parts, I thought he carried that film. Without him, had it been almost cast by literally anybody else, that movie would have been a total dud for me. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah. Even though I didn't think the movie was great, I'm going to say Josh Hartnett in Trap. He was great despite that lackluster movie.
Yeah, shout out to Josh Hartnett for sure. Another one I want to give just an honorable mention is James McAvoy, Speak No Evil. He was fantastic. I'm gonna pick that movie this year as well. I really liked it. I rewatched it again recently. But my winner is Hugh Grant in Heretic. Like, he was so good. Wasn't familiar with his game. I haven't seen too many of his like rom coms or anything, but I thought Hugh Grant was phenomenal. One of the best forms I've ever seen.
Okay, mine is, and I don't particularly think there was a better performance, in my opinion, than David Johnson in Alien Romulus. Personally, I mean, he was just, to me, he was brilliant in that movie. That movie's not as good without.
I agree.
All right. Best lead actress is number 4. I went with Demi Moore. I can't give her enough props for taking on such a bold role that required such vulnerability, and she crushed it. Honorable mention for me was McKenna Grace in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. She really came into her own, and I loved her performance. And also Naomi Scott in Smile 2.
Yeah, Naomi Scott is my winner for best actress for me. She was great. She carried that whole movie, and I'm not faulting like Demi Moore or Margaret Qualley, but they were kind of like what 50% of the movie each. So like, I'm just giving it to Naomi Scott because she carried the whole burden for the whole movie. If I'm going non-horror though, got to shout out Mikey Madison and Nora. She was phenomenal.
If we're going non-horror, I'm saying Florence Pugh and We Live in Time, just because I love her. And that was such an emotional movie.
Best leader. I actually had a rough time with this one because I tried to think, all right, what's a performance from a female where, like you mentioned, the movie simply does not work at all if they're off just a little bit. I gave it to Willa Fitzgerald in Strange Darling, although Naomi Scott in Smile 2 was my other one that had me going back and forth.
No, Will is a great answer.
Yeah, I had a really hard time not picking Naomi Scott, but like my spoiler alert, what my favorite movie of the year is going to end up being. I kind of already talked about it when we did that show. But I mean, I gave it to Quali and more just because, like you mentioned, they split it 50-50. I don't think there's a best supporting actress role in that film. They literally split that lead character 50-50. That's the whole point of the film. And so I think they're kind of playing the same ish character. So I went ahead and gave them both the nod there. Both performances are incredible. Hooked me from start to finish once they both got on the screen. So I thought, why not give it to both of them? Although shout out to Naomi Scott Smile too. That performance is fantastic.
Absolutely. Best supporting actor up next. I got two answers. I got number one, I got Dennis Quaid in The Substance. He's not on screen a lot, but you remember everything when he was involved. Smile! He's so good. I loved it. And my second choice is Kevin Bacon in Maxine. He was a huge standout as well.
Yeah.
He was so funny. I'm like a ball in tall weeds today. That dude, he was so funny. I loved Kevin Bacon.
That's mine too. I have Kevin Bacon as Maxine. I thought he was great in that role as well.
We're about to get a three-peat here, boys. My answer is Kevin Bacon and Maxine. As good as Mia Goth is, Kevin Bacon almost stole the show in that film. He was damn good. I'm glad.
Ooh, are we gonna have a Kevin Bacon sweep? No. No one was more entertaining in a film to me last year than Kevin Durant and Abigail and Kumail Nanjiani in Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. They made me laugh every time they were on screen, so I picked Ty for them. But David Johnson deserves credit for Alien Romulus. I had him as supporting actor just because I don't know that he was the lead. I guess he was the lead male, but I put David Johnson as a honorable mention there. But Kevin Durant, Kumail Nanjiani, take it from me.
All right, best supporting actress. That's me. Michelle Monaghan, because she's overcome such ridicule after Woody Harrelson. No, I'm just kidding. This this one I really did have a hard time with. All the standout performances were from the stars of the movies, but I will go with Jenna Ortega in Beetlejuice 2 or Beetlejuice. I don't know if that movie works as well without her in it.
That's crazy because I that was like my least favorite performance of her. I think I
Hmm.
thought that she didn't give enough in some scenes, but I respect it.
You better.
Brian, same movie, different actress. I give it to Catherine O'Hara for her role in Beetlejuice because I love seeing her do that zany, over the top character. I think she was phenomenal in the role, and I know
Have you
she'd
ever,
already played the role. What
have you ever seen her in Schitt's Creek?
I have, yes, I
She's
have.
it's
No, she's
insane.
fucking funny
It's
as hell,
insane.
man. She's really good. She's great in Beetlejuice. And honorable mention, I know, again, we're going to cover the film here soon, but shout out to Chloe East as Sister Paxton in Heretic. I'm going to save my thoughts for that character for the full review, but honorable mention.
Does Alicia Weir count? I know the movie's called Abigail and she played Abigail, but to me, Melissa Barrera was the lead in that movie, right?
I
So I'm
almost
gonna
picked
say
her. I
either
almost picked her, so I think she counts.
okay, because I think she crushed it. I'll say either her or Ingrid Torelli from Late Night with the Devil. Both young actresses just absolutely crushed it, but I'm gonna give the nod to Weir.
Dustin, I love that Ingrid Torelli pick. I didn't even think about her, to be honest with you. But to me, the best supporting actress of the year, I got to give it to Alicia Witt from Longlegs. I thought she was great.
Mm,
I met her; she was awesome. She was phenomenal as Ruth. I loved her portrayal.
nice.
Okay, best opening scene. Obviously, Terrifier 3. No, I'm just kidding. No offense to Terrifier 3, but that is definitely not my answer. I actually went with Smile 2. I think the opening scene in that movie is freaking great. It immediately sucked me into the film, and I'm like, wow, this movie is up the ante from the last Smile, and I was already locked the hell in. So, Smile 2 was my best opening.
Even though the scene frustrated me because it didn't amount to anything of relevance for the movie itself, I'm gonna go with Smile 2. You talk about just dropping us into
Yeah.
a frantic scene
It didn't
that
have to
was
amount to
crazy.
anything.
So
It was awesome.
yeah, it was awesome, but it's just like it was just filler in the grand scheme of things, but it was great.
I gotta disagree with the part about being filler, man. Like the Lucas Gage was there, like he was Sky Riley's plug. So I mean, it connected to me. But I chose Smile 2 as well. I thought it was great. Elite camera work. Is this gonna be a 4 for 4? Brian, what you got?
Wendy's 4 for 4, without a doubt.
Wow.
Smile 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
All right.
I think it's downhill after that. I mean, not to say the rest of the movie's terrible, but that is one of the best openers of all time.
It's definitely the most memorable one of the year. Like again, I didn't see as many as you guys, but like I can't think of another opening scene that's as memorable as that one.
I got to disagree, Brian. That movie was not downhill from there. I got to look at Princess Jasmine for like an hour and a half. Whew. She was
Nobody,
the best part of that live action.
Dang, nobody honorable mention for Terrifier 3, huh? That's a shame.
No. All right, number
Not with
8.
Chris Jericho.
Number 8, most disappointing movie. How much time do we have? Trap, Blink Twice, Speak No Evil, The Crow, only because I can't believe how badly they disrespected the original. Like I knew it was going to be bad, but not that bad. And The Watchers were all disappointing to me, but none of them to the extent that The Front Room disappointed me. I just expected more from A24, and that movie absolutely sucked.
Yeah, my most disappointing movie. I hate to say it, but I chose Nosferatu. I rewatched it again, and I don't know, it just did not hit the way I was hoping it would.
Mine is actually going to be honorable mention. I'm going to give it to Immaculate. Just super disappointing to me, but I am going to go with Trap. Not because I didn't hate it or didn't like it. It's just, I guess it was kind of like Nico with Nosferatu. It was just disappointing to me because I expected more from M. Night.
Sure.
But I mean, there's a whole chunk of that movie that I disliked, and I feel like he just used his daughter as a vehicle or used as a vehicle to include Salika. Then, so it just brought the movie down to me. Very disappointing.
Look, I don't want to be a hater, and I'm glad you didn't have a worse actress category because, anyway. All right. So most disappointing movie. I kind of had a 1A and 1B because our next category. These are almost interchangeable to me. But most disappointing movie, I went with Night Swim because I was really expecting something kind of fun and different and a different take on a very traditional horror movie. And it was just kind of meh, boring, paint by numbers horror film. I didn't enjoy it a ton, so I went with Night Swim.
I purposely avoided seeing that one because I was like, "This is
you don't need to, brother.
It's kind of like
to see it.
Brian,
Blink and you miss it."
Brian, you included Immaculate. I didn't have expectations for that one at all because no disrespect to her, I think she's a great lady, but a Sydney Sweeney led movie. No, it's probably not gonna be good. Mike, if we had
I mean, I've never seen her in Euphoria, so I didn't know how kind of actress
I don't think Immaculate was terrible.
And if we had a worst actress category, I can't think of a horror movie she was in off the top of my head, but anytime that category is up, it's Dakota Johnson hands down. But go ahead.
Oh God.
I don't know. That acting in A Violent Nature was pretty bad. All right, anywho, let's go to worst movie of the year. There's a lot to choose from, but we live tweeted this joint on Netflix, Tarot. That movie was bad. That movie was.
Yeah, I fell asleep, fellas. I literally fell asleep in the middle of the live tweet.
Mike just quit. He just quit texting.
No, I didn't quit. I fell asleep.
The only thing that was good about that movie was live tweeting it. Like, that was fun, but that movie sucked. Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, to the movies that I have seen, Strangers Chapter 1 is definitely on this list. And I want to pick Terrifier 3, but I'm guessing that Dustin had picked it. And so I wanted to go a different route. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I didn't put it as my number one because of Dustin. I thought he would do it. I went with In a Violent Nature. Like I said, I guess I expected Jason movie, but from his perspective. And to me, what we got was boring. And aside for one memorable kill, very forgettable movie. I just expected more. Objectively bad.
My worst movie of the year was I Saw the TV Glow because I was bored to death in this film. And not only that, like I feel like a movie like They Them got the same message across a lot better. Me personally, I I prefer that movie, and maybe it's because I just like that slasher style of film and that whodunit. So maybe on its bare bones, I liked it better. But I was just bored to death. Again, the message didn't hit with me, but then again, I can't really relate to what it was trying to convey with Owen and everything. So I went with I Saw the TV Glow. If I never saw it again, it would be just fine.
All right. Worst movie. Again, I ask, how much time do we have? Terrifier 3, The Strangers Chapter 1, The Crow, Tarot, and Afraid all deserve to be mentioned. But Brian, I have a swerve for you. I'm not going to say Terrifier 3.
Damn.
I got to give this one to Rumors, because what was that? Like, I expected Terrifier 3 to be bad, so I'll give it some slack. And the rest, at least, somewhat made sense. Rumors was actually absolutely terrible. It's from Evan Johnson. It's got Cate Blanchett in it, and it's the world leaders come together. That movie made no sense. There's a scene where a bunch of aliens are standing around circle jerking. There's a brain, like a literal brain, the size of a Volkswagen Beetle in the middle of the woods. It's just, I felt like I dropped acid and just turned on the TV on a random channel because and I wasn't, the strange part about it is I wasn't even the only person in that theater. So I should have asked all other 4 people that were in there, what did you think of that? Because there's no way anyone enjoyed it.
Okay, I picked Terrifier 3 then. I changed my pick. This one was hard to narrow down. Honestly, I'm not super happy with this, but I'm relying on my memory, which is questionable at best. Just ask my wife. But I'm going to go with the waitlist scene in Alien Romulus, where something we've just kind of never seen in an alien movie to that extent, with acid floating around. Very memorable. I really enjoyed it.
Honorable mention, non-horror, to What a Wonderful Day, when Proxima Caesar makes his on-screen debut in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. But as far as horror, again, a little bit of a 3-way tie. So I guess I could just pick one. I love the Through the Neck kill in A Violent Nature. I know you didn't ask for my favorite kill, but I felt like this was really the best way to put it here. Pump It Up from The Substance, for reasons I won't get into. The first one, the second one with the pop out thigh or whatever is not as good. And then the board game scene in Heretic, I thought was fucking phenomenal.
So I really wanted to go with Michelle Monaghan getting off to Maxine, but I'm going to go with Fred Durst uniting the people in Y2K by singing Break Stuff. I loved it.
And
one of my go-to karaoke songs.
And Faith.
Faith. It was Faith. It was Faith. Yeah, you're right.
But it was great.
I was a huge Bizkit fan.
Not
gonna lie, I still listen to Limp Bizkit every now and then.
Me too, brother.
So that was just incredible. Now, as far as non-horror goes, the scene in the ending of We Live in Time, you talk about an absolute gut punch that just will make a thug cry. That's tough.
All right, yeah. Favorite. If we're just going to name a non-horror one, the opening to Gladiator 2, that movie, that opening scene kicked ass. That
you talking about the monkey dogs?
No, hell no. The opening battle where the Romans were invading Paul Mescal. Yeah. That shit was amazing in IMAX. But anywho, my favorite scene, I got 2 answers. I got Tragedy in Beetlejuice when Dolores is put together. In Dolby Digital, that scene was incredible. I loved it. And I never even heard that song by the Bee Gees until that movie. So I liked it a lot. And my other favorite is Carmichael Hague, the psychic scene with Gus. Dreamer here awake, the fucking giant worm popping out his eye. I love that scene as well.
All right. Favorite movie. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I've hyped it up enough. I went with The Substance.
Yeah, we did a full episode of our top 10 movies. So for me, it was The Substance as well. It was so original, so fun, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I got Late Night with the Devil and Heretic. I don't know which one I like better, to be honest with you. It's one of those 2.
Ghostbusters Frozen Empire again.
Nice. All right. Last category, number 12.
I'm shocked by that one. I did not expect Brian to pick Ghostbusters.
After his first watch, I didn't either. And then he went and watched it again. He liked it more. So it's one of those it's like wine.
Sometimes you got to watch a story and know what you're getting yourself into. Then it hits so much better.
Absolutely.
I was that way with Maxine, so I get it.
All right. Category 12, last category. This was a late addition just because I had a movie I wanted to shout out. So I asked Nico to add it and he did. Hidden Gem. To me, two movies come to mind here. The first is a great movie for a younger audience and one that, can get kids into horror. And that's the Mel Gibson led Monster Summer. Say what you will about him, and he certainly deserves all the criticism that goes his way, but that movie was fun. But my official answer is Melissa Barrera's Your Monster. Such a fun horror rom-com that was full of laughs, and I didn't see nearly enough people talk about
I
that
want
movie.
to see
So
that.
Your Monster, go watch it. It's on, what did I tell you, Nico? It's on Max now?
It's
It's on Max.
now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on Max now. So watch Your Monster.
Yeah, I definitely plan on checking that one out. I know Dustin wasn't a big fan of this one. I don't think Brian was either, but I chose Azrael. I thought Samara Weaving was great. I had a lot of fun with it. It was action packed. I thought it was really good.
Wow. My hidden gem was Oddity. I was pleasantly surprised in how creepy that movie was. You brought it up. The atmosphere was spot on. I was very pleasantly surprised. It was a little hidden gem.
Yeah, my hidden gem was Y2K. I fucking love this movie. Big stamp of approval. Shout out to Dustin for even bringing it to my attention. I think I saw one trailer and never saw it hyped again. So around Christmas time, me and Catherine decided to watch it, and we were all in. And I was really all in because how nostalgic was that shit? It was like House
Yeah.
Party meets American Pie meets a horror movie meets a robot monster movie. Like it was so good. The nostalgia, and of course, my man Fred Durst was in that
Yeah.
shit, and he was great. So shout out
Fred
to
Durst
Y2K.
for public office. Fred Durst for Senate.
Dude, the ending is when it's like 4 years later is fucking great. Fucking Durst in office, awesome.
This was fun. I'm glad you guys joined me for this one award show. 2024 is a great year of horror movies, and glad we got to show them their flowers. Guys, any final thoughts before we get out of here? I know we got a lot of potting still to do.
Happy birthday, brother.
Appreciate it.